Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where I want to grab this position satellite and synchronous orbit of Eve contract, but we're not going to do it just yet because we have a little bit more infrastructure work to do. And to that end, I want to explain exactly what I want our communications infrastructure to end up looking like. For right now, we're only focused on the Kerbal system, and this may change later on in other systems. I mean, we're going to need to put up the solar gateway, right? That's the whole point of this. But that's going to be probably somewhere around here, well outside of the Kerbal system. Now, in the Kerbal system, I want to put up an equatorial satellite, communication satellite, way out here. Like as far out as it can go. And I want to do that with our next launch. Then I want to put in an equatorial satellite about the same distance as the Raven 0X, somewhere around in here. And then one final satellite I want to put up, and I want that to be a polar satellite over Minmus, and we may actually... How much DV do we have in this? Let's see. Oh, we've got tons. I think that I want to increase the size of this particular orbit to be about maximal. Something like that. And that'll be just a prograde burn. We'll warp to that. And let's just get this set up right now. But I do want there to also be a polar orbit satellite around this, and I'm not too concerned about this inclination. It's probably fine. So we'll go ahead and warp forward. This is going to be at T-minus 0.45 seconds. There's no way I can get that accurate. So instead I'm going to burn a little bit earlier and at a lower velocity. There we go. That's good enough. So at the apoapsis, we're also going to do a small burn here. And not that big of a burn. More like that. That'll do. Excellent. This is also going to be a prograde burn. We lost communications, and I didn't expect to do that here. We've got an LOS, but we must be just out of range. Well, I guess we can't do this for right now. It's kind of a highly elliptical Russian-style orbit. I forget the exact term. Can we throttle up? No, we cannot throttle up. What is our antenna on this? Ah, this is an RA-15. Okay. Ah, we can't delete the maneuver node because we're control locked. Well, we can fix this after we get another satellite over here with a longer range. After we get the polar satellite. Alternately, I'm just seeing if we get a connection as the moon comes back around. No. Okay. No connection. So we need a better satellite here, but we were already planning to do that, so let's just head on back to the Space Center. Okay. So I don't think there's anything in here. The question is, what do we want to put up next? Honestly, I think the big Kerbal equatorial satellite is the one we want to do next. And we want to do a 0X variant. Let's see here. This is the RA-15, so we definitely want to make sure that that's upgraded. Oh wait, this is the maximum range that we have available. What is the... Okay. So why did we not... Did we run out of power? I'm confused. An LA-15 should be able to reach that far, right? Yeah, we're out of power. That's the issue. It's one of these models. Okay. It'll get power eventually. Yeah, this is the old version, the one with the fatal flaw. So we don't actually need to change anything. Let's hop on back to the Space Center. And yeah, we're just going to put this up. This is going to be the big one, and it's going to be outside of Minmus's orbit. So we're going to go ahead and open up the Raven 0X. Excellent. Let's double check. Yep, we've got our solar panels good to go. Do we have a thermometer on this thing? Yes, we do. Fantastic. Save. Launch. Okay, so shouldn't have too much to do here. Let me just double check staging. That all looks good. SAS on, and off we go. This thing is rotated for a polar orbit. I guess that's fine. I mean, we could just turn it manually in the air. Like so. And now we're rotated. And we should definitely be starting our horizontal speed here. I want to push over to 45 degrees relatively early on. So much aerodynamic resistance at this altitude. Okay, we'll just chill here. This is fine. I mean, we want to be pretty equatorial. We can always adjust our inclination later on, though. Okay, I want to pitch over a little bit more and just move our prograde node. And hopefully adjust our inclination a bit as well. Okay, off goes our side boosters. And as usual, at this point, I want to be just heading directly at the horizon for horizontal speed. Definitely still got some aerodynamic resistance over here. But it seems fine. Don't want to get rid of the fairing just yet. 75 kilometers, apoapsis at T-minus 2 minutes now. So we'll go ahead and throttle down. And at the apoapsis, we'll just do this number. And technically, I really don't think the inclination matters. Okay, we are now safe to deploy the fairing, which shaves 2 seconds off of our burn time, which is always nice to see. We are still in the atmosphere, so turning over to the maneuver node is going to be kind of exciting. Burn time of 45 seconds, so at 22.5 seconds is when we want to begin this burn. And I will warp towards it as soon as we're out of the atmosphere, which we are not yet. One more kilometer to climb. There we go. Excellent. So it's actually a burn time of 37 seconds now, so that is 18.5 seconds, assuming I mathed correctly there. So right about now. And realistically, we might as well be right at prograde. Excellent. And this will give us all of the horizontal velocity we need to get halfway to anywhere. That's good enough. Don't really care about eccentricity right now. Inclination of 0.8 degrees, we can fix that. We'll set the moon as our target, just to fix our inclination a little bit. Add a maneuver at the ascending node, and here we go. 32.5 meters per second. We'll go ahead and warp to next maneuver. I canceled the auto warp. We'll go ahead and warp to the next maneuver. Excellent. How's our power doing? Is doing okay. Good. This is a very, very small burn. Going to physics warp as we turn towards our destination node. SAS, you can stop. Gonna freeze physics right there. Turn a little bit more. Perfect. We're going to want to burn this probably right about now. Just a very gentle burn. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so we've just got 2 more burns left in this mission. At the apoapsis, and we're gonna... I would like to unset the target, because we're not going to the moon. Just using that for our inclination. I would like to burn as far out over here as we can, which is basically to right there. Yeah, that'll do. That'll be a prograde burn, and we'll just warp to next maneuver. We should, in theory, have sunlight shortly, so we shouldn't have to worry about electric charge. I'm going to physics warp as we turn towards prograde. We're going to want to burn this at T-minus 15 seconds. Okay, so right about now. Excellent. And this is going to burn off most of our center core here, but not entirely all of it. That will get finished off as we raise our periapsis up. In theory. And once we have access to extending solar panels, we're definitely going to use those for these satellites. Okay, let's check our current orbit. We still have a ways to go. Oop, that was too much. I'm just going to physics warp our turn back to retrograde. Okay. There we go. Good enough. That'll do. So at the apoapsis here, we will go ahead and increase this and essentially just circularize this orbit. Just like that. 179.2, so we're actually not even going to utilize that center core. Okay. It's only a 4-second burn, so that's going to be exciting. Our solar panels are correctly oriented, so that's great. We're not having any power issues currently. And hopefully by the time this gets set up, our power issues on the Minmus craft will be fixed. Still have another 6 days to go before we reach our apoapsis. Make that 2 days to go. Gotta love time warp. Okay, so we will go ahead and just head over to prograde, which we are now there. And this is a 4-second burn, so we want to burn at T-minus 2 seconds. I'll just warp towards that. Okay. Burn. Ooh. Ever so slightly too much. I overshot a tiny amount. We'll have to go to retrograde and just do a very, very slight burn. That's okay. It's not like we have an extra 2,500 meters per second in this or anything. Okay, good enough. So that will provide us a nice connection on the exterior. So that's perfect. Now I do want to see if we can hop over to this guy and check the power status here. We have power. Fantastic. So we want to get rid of that node and add a maneuver here. And just something along the lines of, just circularizing this is fine. A little bit less eccentric than that would be ideal. There, something like that'll do. Now, I'm going to put our spacecraft into hibernation. And we're going to remain in this orientation, and then I'm going to warp to next maneuver. Because I wanted to make sure that we would still have electric charge when we got there. So that's excellent. We will exit our hibernation as soon as this warp is over. There we go. And now orient ourselves prograde. This is a very, very tiny burn. And we'll go ahead and warp towards it. So I'm going to burn at about 4-ish seconds again. Something like this. That'll do. Good enough. Excellent. So we don't really care about the... Oh, that's tumbling. We don't really care about the orientation of this thing at this point. As long as it's getting electric charge. Like, I don't want it pointing at the sun. I'd like it to be pointing at Kerbal, so you know what we could do? We could just set Kerbal as target. Maybe? Not control locked. It's not letting me set Kerbal as target. We could set the moon as our target. And we don't have the ability to point target, so... I guess it's maybe a little pointless. Although we could, in theory, just go into surface mode and point directly down. But that's not actually going to hold it there. Oh yeah, and this thing has the pitch issue that I don't understand. Like, the reaction wheel can't pitch down for whatever reason, but that's close enough. So Minmus is there. It's actually pointing away from Kerbal, but it's also pointing away from the sun. Interesting. Well, good enough. We'll take that back to the Space Center, and we want to put up 2 more total satellites. We want to put in a closer Kerbal equatorial, which we can do right now. And also, we didn't grab science from space. So we'll launch this, and we'll grab that as we go up with this one. Space around Kerbal, specifically. Okay. Off we go. I'm going to go ahead and get our rotation done right now, since that's apparently a thing that we need to do. MechJeb does it, so why not us? Okay, how's our apoapsis looking? Plenty. To begin our turn here. We're going to have tons of aerodynamic forces. And in fact, I'm just going to wait around here until we are through max Q, which will be momentarily. I generally consider max Q to be about now. Okay, let's continue our pitch. We're having some severe aerodynamic forces fighting us. It's very rude. It's almost like we don't live in a vacuum or something. Okay, off goes our side boosters. We're at 45 degrees. We have plenty of vertical height. More than enough. So we just at this point need horizontal speed, nothing more. In fact, we're basically where we want to be. Our apoapsis is going to be a bit higher. That's fine. I don't really care where our apoapsis is. How's our inclination looking? 0.2 degrees. Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. 0.1. Okay. Well, we may as well stop our burn here. There we go. And put in a maneuver here. Just to get into orbit. And that'll do. That is, of course, going to be a prograde burn, so we will start heading to prograde. We can get rid of our fairing. We're plenty high. Excellent. And we can warp just as soon as we get into space, which we are now. This is a 38-second burn. So I'm actually going to physics warp this so we remain on the prograde marker. We're going to want to burn this at T minus 19 seconds. Hang on, did I math that wrong? No, I mathed that correctly. 19 seconds, so right now. Off we go. Inclination of 0.1 degrees, that's fine. I don't really care too much about the inclination. And actually, as soon as we are in sunlight, I'm going to grab that data. We'll not do it right now, because we do not have the power for it. And we are officially in space. Good enough. Now, what's the apoapsis and periapsis of this thing? 3 million and 4 million? Okay. I can deal with that. At the apoapsis, we will just go ahead and raise this up to about that point. And we'll circularize it at about 4 million. Something kind of like that. That'll do. That's going to be a prograde burn. We'll go ahead and warp to that maneuver. And we should have the sun out now. And indeed we do. So I'm going to go ahead and, as soon as this is over, we're going to start heading towards prograde, log the temperature, allow partial, transmit this data. Done. Contract complete. Fantastic. That was just a little bonus. We needed to put this satellite up anyway. So we're going to want to burn this at T minus 11 seconds. This is going to be 717.3 meters per second, which is fine. It's not like we have a shortage of Delta V. This thing is so massively overbuilt. Like, I think that this thing could probably do that synchronous orbit over Eve contract, which is something we will be doing in the not too distant future. So we want to do this burn now. There we go. And we're just aiming for an apoapsis of about 4 million. Something like that, but I'm just going to burn a little bit more cautiously at this point. That'll do. Excellent. And then this will just be a prograde burn. Very simple. Right here to circularize. About like that. We'll go ahead and warp to that maneuver. We're oriented so that we have electric charge, which is great. And we will go ahead and physics warp as we rotate over. We want to burn this at T minus 5.5 seconds. So here in just a moment is when we want to burn this. Now, that'll do. Fantastic. Well, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we do have one more satellite to put up, and then our mission after that is going to be a landing on Minmus, which is going to be pretty great. And then after that, we'll probably do that synchronous orbit around Eve, is what I'm thinking. For now, though, you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.